Now, so far today, we had an on-time launch. Weather looked a little iffy, but the ground winds died down. We launched right on time. First stage did a beautiful landing on the drone ship. Second stage has completed one burn into the desired parking orbit. We're now preparing for a short relight of the upper stage engine in about a minute from now. Now, this second burn is much shorter than the first. It only takes just under 4 seconds to raise the required Iridium orbit to the final altitude. Now, the ignition is called SES2, the second stage engine start number 2. Then we will have the second stage engine cutoff number 2, or SECO2. Now, following SECO2, we will then begin deployment of the 10 Iridium NEXT satellites, starting at about T plus 56 minutes and 58 seconds. So just before T plus 57 minutes, we release them one at a time, about every 100 seconds. And we'll be bringing you that. But right now, we're going to wait for ignition of the second stage engine coming up in about 15 seconds. Now, currently, second stage is doing settling pulses, making sure the propellant's at the bottom of the tank, ready to support ignition. We've had ignition and we've had shutdown. Welcome back. We're setting up for the deployment of the first of the 10 Iridium NEXT satellites in just under 1 minute from now. Now, the camera right now is switched back. We're looking at the MVAC beam nozzle on the second stage. We're currently passing over the island of Madagascar. We're flying north. We'll pass over the Horn of Africa and then up over Central Europe. We are moving into the terminator, so the views will be a little difficult. We're out of the light of the sun to the most part, and we are also illuminating with a small lens or a small flashlight that's mounted on the second stage. Now, we're coming up on separation of the first satellite. You might just see it at the very top of the screen moving through the frame. The Iridium satellites are stacked in 2 levels. Let's wait for the call out.
Spacecraft separation confirmed.
And you can see a little bit of activity. The first of the 10 Iridium NEXT satellites has deployed. As I was starting to say, the Iridium satellites are stacked in 2 levels. So there are 5 satellites on the top tier and then 5 satellites on the bottom tier. So the first 5 that we release are off of the top. They're farther away from the payload attached fitting camera, and not all of them are in the field of view. So some of them we'll get to see, some of them will be out of sight from the camera and we'll only hear the call out. But the good news, satellite number 1 is separated on its way. We've got 9 to go, and we're about a minute away from the second satellite. We'll be back then with the separation. Okay, we're getting ready in about 6 seconds for deployment of the second satellite.
Payload separation confirmed.
And I was a little behind on my call there. We have confirmation of payload separation. Fortunately, it looks like it was a little bit outside of the field of view of the camera, so we only heard the call out from the avionics engineer.
Satellite deploy confirmed.
The third of the 10 Iridium NEXT satellites successfully deployed. That one's out of field of view of the camera. You can't see it, but we did hear the call out. We see it on telemetry. Satellite number 4, this should be a good one if my numbers are correct. We ought to be able to see that one come off in the field of view of the camera.
Payload has separated.
And there we've got a nice visual confirmation. Separation of the 4th of the 10 Iridium NEXT satellites. Like clockwork, on to the 5th one in 100 seconds.
Payload deploy confirmed.
And what we love to hear, payload deploy confirmed. That's the 5th of the 5 satellites on the upper tier. We now concentrate on the 5 satellites that are surrounding the dispenser on the lower half of the stack of what was originally 10 Iridium satellites. Now we're down to 5 to go. The corner.
Satellite separation confirmed.
And we actually had a pretty good view there of the 6th Iridium satellite deploying off of the dispenser, mounted on top of the Falcon 9 second stage. Everything continued to go well on the timeline. 6 down, 4 to go. 100 seconds until the next satellite deployment.
Spacecraft has separated.
Confirmation of separation, we can see it in the brake wire telemetry. So we've got 7 down, 3 to go. So with just 5 minutes to go in the deployment sequence.
Spacecraft deploy confirmed.
But even though we can't see it, we can hear it. His avionics engineer confirms that the satellite has been successfully deployed. 8 down, we've got just 2 to go.
Satellite has separated.
Oh yeah, nice view. Satellite number 9 has separated. We're down to 1 to go.
Final Iridium satellite separation confirmed.
And you've heard the call out. Final Iridium satellite separation. And that's not only 10 for 10 today, but that's 75 for 75. It's been a clean sweep for Iridium and Falcon 9. That's going to bring an end to our webcast. And it's been a great webcast. Falcon 9, we had sunrise. We saw the rocket countdown. Launched right on time. Beautiful views from the onboard cameras. First stage landed on the drone chip right on the X. Second stage went into the first orbit. It was a very nominal orbit. We relit the engine. Second orbit was an excellent one. And just now you've watched with us over the last 15 minutes or so as we've deployed all 10 of the Iridium NEXT satellites, completing 75 satellites on orbit for the new generation of Iridium capability from space. Now we'd like to thank the United States Air Force for their range support today, and our licensing agency, the Federal Aviation Administration. And a special thanks to our Iridium customer for 8 great launches over the past 2 years. When Iridium and SpaceX entered this agreement, it was, at the time, the largest single commercial satellite deal ever signed. So it's been exciting to support these launches and a true honor to be Iridium's launch provider. Thanks, Iridium, and thanks to those watching, and have a great day.